Hello, friend. Welcome to another episode of the Mount Rushmore of everything. Today, we are going to dive right in. We're not going to waste any of your time. We are talking about breakfast cereals.
We already wasted all the time before we recorded.
Yes, so no more wasting time now. So, first one is one of the most popular year in and year out.
Okay.
It is one that ever since it rose a very long time ago in popularity when it first came out, it has basically stayed at the top, and its sweet alternative is also at the top, and it is Cheerios.
Cheerios.
Yes.
I do have it in my because my kids love Cheerios. I personally love Cheerios.
I love Cheerios as well, yeah.
So
it was both my first thought and the clearest, like, there was never a point in my research where it wasn't clear, yes, it needed to be on there. So, First of all, General Mills is one of the big companies. I think it's the biggest of the three or four, depending on how you look at it. So you have the big two, General Mills and Kellogg. Then you have Post, which is doing well, but it's clearly third. And then you have the one that just has oatmeal. And Quaker. Like, they technically have like a couple of
there's your things. Mount Rushmore of cereal brands.
Cereal
companies.
Yeah, exactly. But so those are some of the four,
inception of Mount Rushmore right there. Mount
2
Rushmore
for 1. What a great deal you got today. So for General Mills, the whole company was basically built on the success of Cheerios, because Cheerios is sort of that flagship first one that really got them started, was Cheerios. So that's worth a lot of points, right? Because it's important to the history. It's I think it's the biggest of those companies, and Cheerios is what started it. Not to mention it's consistently the most popular cereal. So in 2018, which is the latest stats I could find, it was the most sold by boxes. That and Honey Nut Cheerios were 1 and 2 for money and boxes sold. And it's one of those things where, like, Honey Nut Cheerios, sometimes it's more expensive and the profit per box is higher. So sometimes that number is higher than the actual boxes sold, which is another weighing balance. To me, what matters is boxes sold. But yeah, Honey Nut Cheerios to me also sort of filters into the credit that Cheerios gets, because Honey Nut Cheerios is, like, again, it's like the top two are both Cheerio cereals. And fun fact, it was actually called Cheerios at first when it came out in 1941. And then they changed it to Cheerios in 45 because they realized Cheerios was a garbage name. So they changed it. And now we have Cheerios, which is a perennial, most popular cereal. What's one you have?
All right, here's one. And I don't know. I thought a lot about it. I think cereal. And that's the one I think of. Up until I moved here, because now I think of cereal, I think of Cheerios.
Yeah, sure.
But now it's cornflakes, Kellogg's cornflakes.
That is my other non-negotiable.
Oh, really? Well, the thing is, I didn't do purposely a lot of research on this one.
Sure.
Because, again, if I, coming from Mexico, know about this cereal, then there's probably something to it.
That, and as we've talked about before, I think there's an advantage of, like, stepping back from the niche and then diving in to like the thing and research. Cornflakes was one that I also thought deserved right away. It sort of came to mind because I remember thinking, like, for some reason, like, the origin story of cereal seems to always be connected to cornflakes to me. It's the only cereal that, like, I knew the origin story of. And I'm like, I wonder why that is. And I looked up, New York Times has a whole article, The History of Cereal and stuff. And basically, cornflakes is the original popular cereal. It was invented in 1894. Which, like, the next cereal that comes out that's even remotely still existing today is, like, 50 years later. So the fact that it was invented in the 1800s is
18
huge.
What, you said?
1894. So almost 1900, but 1800s. Right. So it's like the original popular cereal, really. And then I mentioned the flagship of General Mills for Cheerios. Cornflakes is the flagship of Kellogg.
Right. It's almost like the rooster is the mascot of the whole company.
Yeah.
It feels like, anyways.
Yeah. The next one, not a non-negotiable, but I considered making it one because it is pretty clear to me. And it is one that was created in 1928. So it is also very, very old. It is even much older than Cheerios, which I mentioned as 1941. It was the first cereal to introduce the concept of a mascot.
We're going to agree on this one. I already know.
And
blue.
The box?
Yes.
So, and it has one of people's favorite desserts that is made out of it. and is commonly named after, which is Rice Krispie treats, because these are Rice Krispies.
Oh,
Really?
Oh,
What?
No.
No? Is that on your 4?
No, it's not on my 4.
So one part of the reasoning was that first cereal with mascots. That was a minor thing, though. The bigger ones,
Crackle,
Snap, Crackle, and Pop were the first ones ever. At that point, the cereal industry was trying to figure out how do we get kids. And so they started considering using sugar. There were no sugar cereals yet. We'll address that in a bit. But they were like realizing that most cereals at that point were very plain. They were very like oats that were flattened or something that kids weren't that interested in. So the mascots were sort of a part of that movement towards for kids. And then Rice Krispie treats. I mean, like literally a dessert that is very popular is named after this cereal. And it is also one of Kellogg's. It's like
Mount Rushmore.
No, they have their 6 core. They have their 6 core cereal brands or whatever. So this was actually one that I thought maybe, and then after research, I'm like, nope, it does need to be there. Also worth noting that it has very popular Cocoa Krispies and other things. But it was not on your 4.
No.
Interesting.
Disappointed a little.
Really?
Yeah.
What, do you think we were going to go 4 for 4? Were you riding high on our 2 agreements?
Yeah, I think I was too high in expectations.
So which one were you thinking I was going to say that you are going to agree with?
Here comes my third one then is Frosted Flakes.
That is my last one.
Okay.
So we are in agreement on that.
Yeah, okay. It was always hard for in my family to get them to get the Frosted Flakes, which in Spanish are not Frosted Flakes. They're called sucaritas, which means something like little sugars.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They actually were originally called sugar Frosted Flakes, but they took sugar out of it because sugar was so frowned upon in America by parents and stuff, so they wouldn't buy it as much. And then people bought more when they took sugar out of the name.
And then Tony, which is he's just great.
Arguably the most iconic of
cereal.
The mascots. It's interesting you bring up Frosted Flakes because that was an interesting struggle for me, because now that we have our 4, we know that I didn't end up putting the Honey Nut Cheerios, which some will see as a snub. And you may say, okay, but for Cheerios, you sort of used Honey Nut to like boost Cheerios ratings, but then for Frosted Flakes and Corn Flakes, you have them separately. Now for me, the legs that Frosted Flakes really has to stand on is the fact that it was the first popular sugar cereal. There were a couple other ones that were attempted that are long defunct, but Frosted Flakes was the first cereal to take the world by storm and really usher in the era of sugar cereals in 1952. And it still dominates everything except Honey Nut Cheerios. Tony the Tiger was another bonus thing for me because everybody knows Tony the Tiger. Funny story about that. They had 4 animal mascots they came up with at first that they were going to test.
For the cereal.
For the cereal.
Okay.
Yep. They have Tony the Tiger, Katie the Kangaroo, Newt the Gnu, and Elmo the Elephant. They got rid of Newt the Gnu and Elmo the Elephant.
And the elephant.
Right away. They did put both Tony the Tiger and Katie the Kangaroo on shelves. Turns out that the kangaroo people didn't like nearly as much. They bought more of the Tony the Tiger one. Tiger won out. And we have Tony the Tiger to this day. And also, fun fact, the original voice of Tony was the voice of Gumby. And another one of the voices of Tony was the person who sings You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
I didn't tell you my 4th one.
No. We're getting there right now.
I actually don't have a 4th one.
What? That's not how this works.
I couldn't come up with one, except I have a question, and then that would determine it.
Okay.
Would...
cold cereals.
No. Would
oatmeal doesn't count for this list, by the
oatmeal,
way.
yes.
Does
oatmeal.
not count.
Doesn't count?
No.
All right, then I don't have
No.
then I don't have a 4th one. I can't.
There has to be.
It's just that there are those 3, and then there's the other ones.
But you gotta choose.
Oh man. I can't agree with the Rice Krispies.
Why? What would you put above it?
Okay, I would put Fruit Loops
Okay.
above it.
So why does Fruit Loops not deserve to be on the 4?
Why does it not deserve to be on the
because
4?
you said you don't have a 4th, so that implies Fruit Loops does not deserve to be on the 4th.
I mean, if I had to, I would put it.
You do have to.
Okay,
Put
then I'll
something.
put it. But I'm not super happy about it because it doesn't have the same amount of
Gravitas?
yes
Sure.
as the other 3.
Doesn't have as much as Rice Krispies, in my opinion, but
Okay, well,
Sure.
then that's like your opinion, man.
yeah, that's how this works. We're on the quest for the truth, though.
So there it is. That's what I think. I'll go with.
You'll lock it in?
I'm going to lock just to have my 4 because I like to finish.
That's the rules.
What I start.
Yeah, that's how this works. So, if you agree with either of our picks, let us know in the comments below. If you don't agree, also let us know in the comments below. Tell us what your 4 would be and why. Also, be sure to drop a like on this video, subscribe, click that little notification bell so that you know when the next video comes out, and we will talk to you next time. Also, apparently Tony is Italian-American. The only, like, what? It's a tiger that's American-Italian? Like, are there any tigers in all of Italy? Yes, in a zoo. like, how did we anyway, I just thought that was
funny.
a funny anecdote, but
He's not called.